the only shoe you'll ever need. Everybody needs a sneaker in their rotation that they can wear with anything without even thinking about it. And there is no shortage of simple, low-profile sneakers these days, but these right here, these are my favorite. And in this video, I'll be telling you why the Adidas BW Army is the only sneaker that you will need. So this is the latest version of this shoe, and it actually dropped in 3 different colorways, and of course I went ahead and got all 3 of them. So far these have dropped in Europe, Canada, as well as Asia, and I believe that there will be a US release for this shoe in June. It dropped in this classic white colorway with the gum bottoms, and you have an all over black pair as well, and perhaps even my favorite of the 3, which is this olive pair. And the price for these, at least in Europe, was 150 euros, which is definitely on the more premium side, and that is because this is the premium luxe version. I also own this regular smooth leather version from a few years ago, so this is the latest version, the premium one, and I have the older one. This pair, when it dropped, the retail price was only $105, and this time we're moving up to 150, so a bit of a premium for sure, but not as expensive as these right here. Of course, I got every single version of this shoe. This is the Maison Margiela Replica sneakers. These have different retail prices in different countries. I believe in the US these go for around 600. Compared to the Margielas, these are definitely a steal. However, there are some alternatives of this shoe made by some other brands, like for example Novesta, which I believe is a brand based out of Slovakia if I'm not mistaken. They make a very similar shoe for a slightly higher price than these. And there's also brands like Beckett Simonon which make their own version of the GATs as well. And you guys have heard me say this word GATs now a few times, and for those of you who have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about and also wondering why are there so many different versions of pretty much the same shoe, well, this pair has one of the most interesting sneaker histories of any shoe around. Originally made by Adidas for the West German Army in the 70s, these were actually never meant for the public. It's also why the original versions of the shoe had no branding on it whatsoever. And the name of this Adidas pair is the BW Army. In case you're wondering what BW stands for, it stands for Bundeswehr, which translates to German Army. However, this shoe and these types of shoes are more commonly known by another name, which is GAT, which stands for German Army Trainer. After the end of the Cold War, Germany drastically reduced the size of their army, and a lot of these ex-soldiers ended up selling their unused pairs to army surplus stores, and people bought them up. You started to see them everywhere in Europe in the 90s. Martin Margiela, the founder of Maison Margiela, he was one of the people that saw this shoe, fell in love with them, and he made his own version, which to this day is still the best-selling product from Maison Margiela. But this video is all about the latest version of the Adidas BW Army, or the BW Army Lux. So let's talk about it. From a quality point of view, it's definitely quite a bit of an upgrade over the smooth leather version, which dropped a few years ago. The leather on this pair just feels much better quality. You also have some soft suede on the mudguard here, and most notably where you see that upgrade in quality is definitely on the inner lining. You get the smooth inner lining on the shoe as well as underneath the tongue, and the tongue is made out of a much smoother leather as well. Also, what sets these apart is that they have chosen to go with a cracked leather version on this shoe, which personally I don't know why they did that. I would have preferred them to just use regular leather. This shoe also features that classic Adidas mudguard, which is that T-toe shape, where the mudguard actually forms a T shape. Although I will say this version, the mudguard is slightly higher than on that previous smooth leather version. And also the laces that they provided you on this pair are of a much better quality than those previous laces. On the white pair, it comes with some standard cream laces, and actually all 3 of these pairs don't come with any extra laces. The black ones just come with these black laces, which in my opinion is a missed opportunity. I think this pair looks a lot better with some cream laces. Case in point right here, so this is the Adidas BW collab with Size from last year. They did give us some white laces on that pair, and just comparing it with the black pair on this newer version, yeah, in my opinion, the white laces just look better on this model. And the olive pairs, meanwhile, just come with these olive laces, which once again, I think they should have given us some cream laces instead. The reason why this is actually my favorite Adidas model and why I prefer this compared to the Stan Smiths and the Adidas Sambas and Gazelles is because of this lack of branding. There's really no visible branding on this shoe, which to me is just a very clean look. It's pretty rare actually to find a shoe from a major sneaker brand that has no branding. That lack of branding, in my opinion, really takes the versatility of this shoe to a whole nother level. The Stan Smiths also have pretty minimal branding on there, but I do prefer the BW Armies. I like the toe box on these better than the Stans. Now, as far as which of these versions are better, so this newer cracked leather version or the older smooth leather version, personally I do prefer the smooth leather one simply because of the cheaper price point. And also when it comes to cracked leather, it's pretty hit or miss. On my pair here, the cracking is not too bad. However, you might get a pair that has really visible cracking on it, which would kind of throw off the whole shoe. It's also why I prefer the olives and the black pairs from this 3 colorways, simply because you don't really notice the cracking that much on these darker colorways. I don't know when or if Adidas is going to release the smooth leather version anytime soon. However, we do know that there's going to be a collab with End Clothing dropping soon, which seems to feature smooth leather as well, but also a snakeskin pattern on one of the leather panels. Let's talk about sizing on this shoe. So I will admit, sizing is definitely a bit different on this pair than the previous one. I got these in my true size because that is what I fit in these previously, and on this one they do seem to be quite big. I have almost an entire thumb worth of space at the toe box. The toe area is definitely way too roomy, and I am getting a bit of heel slippage on this one as well. There was a lot less room in the toe on the earlier version, so I do suggest that if you have normal width feet, to go with a half size down in this pair for the right size. And if you have wide feet, only then I would suggest going true to size. However, these shoes might just not be for you, to be honest, if you have wide feet, because the midfoot area of the shoe actually does fit okay even when you go true to size. To give you some reference comparing my sizing on this shoe with some other Adidas shoes, so in this new version of the BW Army, like I said, I would fit a half size down as my perfect size, and that is the same size I also fit in the Adidas Superstar, as well as the Adidas Gazelle and the Adidas Handball Special. In the Adidas Samba, which for me is a very narrow shoe, I actually go a half size up in that shoe. So I basically wear an 11.5 in the Sambas, and on these, the BW Armies and the Gazelles and the Superstars, I would get a 10.5. Sambas are really not a good shoe to compare sizing with because it's just an extremely narrow shoe. But if you are comparing this to your Sambas, I would suggest going down a full size from whatever your Adidas Samba size is. Also, I have to be honest, even though the BW Army is one of my favorite sneakers, I don't wear this shoe because it's necessarily the most comfortable shoe. I mean, it's technology from the 1970s, and they don't really fit me perfectly either. I just really like the look of them, the simplicity of them. I wouldn't really recommend this shoe for all day walking, but if you're just going out for a few hours, you can definitely throw these on with absolutely anything in your closet. You don't have to think about it. These are gonna look great. The BW Army for me is a shoe that if I was starting a sneaker collection all the way from scratch, so basically having 0 sneakers, this is probably the first sneaker I would go for. It is a absolutely timeless shoe. It's never gonna go out of style. Super versatile, wear them with anything. The reason I have so many different versions of the shoe is because I just really like wearing them so much. If I'm going to a more fancier type of occasion, like a wedding or something, I usually wear my Margiela GATs. I've done that several times. And the BW Armies, I pretty much wear them for all other occasions. Out of these 3 colorways, definitely for me, the olive one is the one that I was most interested in. But do let me know in the comments, what did you guys think about the Adidas BW Army? Are you finally going to add a pair to your collection? And thanks for stopping by. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. That is where I am the most active, and I respond to every single one of you guys who DM me on there. The links to my sneaker podcast can also be found in the description of this video. Thank you so much for stopping by and supporting my channel. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.